And welcome back to Washington Commanders Insider. Today, we are going to be looking at the most recent injury update around the Washington Commanders. We're also going to be looking at some of the key things to look forward to in this upcoming game against the Atlanta Falcons as, the Washington Commanders get ready for a primetime Sunday game that has major playoff implications. And so let's go ahead and start with the most recent injury update around the Washington Commanders. And so you see that we had some non-participants here, and there are definitely some big names. And so let's start with Dyami Brown. And so last week, Dyami Brown was pretty big for the Washington Commanders. In fact, he was the third best receiver on the field for the Commanders. He had 4 receptions for 56 yards, and he actually had tied with the team lead as far as averages are concerned with 14 yards in average. He had a huge gain in one of his catches here. And so to have Dyami Brown not available would be tough for the Washington Commanders. We've talked about this before, that we don't have Noah Brown out there. This team has found a way to get it done. Zach Ertz played in this last week's game, but only had a catch. And so this means that if Dyami Brown is not available, someone else is going to have to step up. Next up, Marshawn Lattimore. And so, look, Marshawn Lattimore, I think he played pretty tough out there last week. I know it was quite a battle against A.J. Brown. Did have the penalties out there, but I loved what I saw on the field. I loved his ability to compete. I think that still gives this defensive edge. And, it's unfortunate that he went down with a hamstring injury. Hopefully he's able to get back, but I know with a hamstring and that soft tissue injury, it's going to be challenging for Marshawn Lattimore to get back. And we know that what's going to happen if he is down. That's going to put a lot more pressure on the rookie Mike Samra still over there. We're probably going to have to lean on St. Juice back there. And I think that you could see that we are probably a better defense with Marshawn Lattimore back there. So hopefully he is able to get back there. Next up, tackle Andrew Wiley. And so that is huge for us that, he was a non-participant today because last week, the Commanders only gave up 1 sack after giving up 8 sacks to the Saints the week before. And so I think that part of the Washington Commanders having some success moving forward is you need to have a clean pocket, and you need to give Jaden Daniels some time to really get down the field. And so hopefully he is able to go. And he also is going to be critical for the Washington Commanders, who I believe their bread and butter is running the football, and you need him up front to, just open up some of that running space for Jaden Daniels, Brian Robinson Jr., Jeremy McNichols, Chris Rodriguez Jr., just naming off some running backs that possibly could be out there. We know that Jaden Daniels, he'll tuck the ball and go too. And so that right there is just some of the key injury updates for the Washington Commanders as we get ready for this game versus the Atlanta Falcons. And so next, I wanted to go ahead and shift focus, and I wanted to look at some keys to this upcoming game, and I wanted to start with the offense. And so starting with Jaden Daniels and this offense, because right now it's coming into this game against the Atlanta Falcons, having put up at least 27 points or so, at least in 5 of its last 7 games. So that is pretty good. Obviously, we put up 36 big points against the number 1 defense in the league last week. And so this is going to be pretty major going into this game because this is a stat that was on Locked On Commanders. I saw this. This was David Harrison and Aaron Freeman over there. They do some great work, so make sure you go subscribe and check out the channel. But one of the stats that was brought up is that the Atlanta Falcons, I believe, are last as far as fourth quarter scoring. And so that's huge because that indicates to me that if the Commanders are able to come out early, they're able to put points up on the board and really get the Atlanta Falcons to chase after points in the fourth quarter, there's a high likelihood that the Washington Commanders can win this game because for whatever reason, the Atlanta Falcons have not been able to generate, fourth quarter points. And obviously, we know the fourth quarter of the game is generally when you're starting to get into money time. Now, that obviously could change with Michael Penix Jr. back there playing quarterback. He is a bit more dynamic, I'd say, than Kirk Cousins. Got a chance to look at his game last week, and I know he only had a 70 QBR rate. He did have an interception, but I think that interception was really not on him. It actually got tipped out of Kyle Pitts' hands. But for the most part, he was pretty composed back there. He made some good throws, and he kept the Atlanta Falcons on schedule. And so just throwing that stat out there, I think that this could maybe play a little dividends into this game if the Atlanta Falcons get behind here, because it could put pressure on them to put points up, and they haven't been able to do that thus far this season. And so next up, when we talk about points scored and things like that, currently right now the Atlanta Falcons are 29th in the league as far as QBR rates are concerned. So they give up about a 98 QBR rate. And over the last couple of weeks, Jaden Daniels, he's been getting it done with a 99 rate or better. And so that right there suggests that the Washington Commanders are going to have a real advantage in the passing game. And so hopefully the Washington Commanders can take advantage of that. And on top of that, the defense for the Atlanta Falcons, they are already giving up 23 points a game, 23.3 points a game, which is tied for 21st. So I think that the Washington Commanders offense should be able to really put points up on the board. And lastly, I think another key takeaway, and just how we will probably have a little bit of an offensive advantage going into this one, is that the Atlanta defense at the time of this podcast, they are tied, or they're 32nd, excuse me, in the NFL for just 26 sacks. And so this is a team that really struggles to get to the quarterback, which suggests that if you give Jaden Daniels some time, he's able to, either pick you apart in the passing game, or he's going to have an advantage to really tuck and run the football out there. And so there is an advantage for the Washington Commanders. Hopefully they are able to get it done. And so with that being said, I just wanted to go over a couple of advantages for the Washington Commanders and just their offense here, and just look at this game. And we'll look at it some more in some totality of some other things that the Washington Commanders will need to do. But initially, when I see these stats and I'm looking at this offensively, this suggests to me that the Washington Commanders really need to get off to a good start, because if they do get off to a good start, you're going to put a lot of pressure on the Atlanta Falcons. And then also, too, it's going to pressure their rookie quarterback to make some plays. And our defense, which we're going to talk about here on the next show, has actually been doing some great things over the last couple of weeks. And I think that last week was pretty huge for what they were able to do in the second half. And so this suggests that the Washington Commanders just really, they've got to come into this game and they've got to stay focused, because there's a lot on the line. Because if the Washington Commanders are able to win this game, it's a win and you're in scenario. Or coming into this game, if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers lose their game to the Carolina Panthers, that would get the Washington Commanders in. And then for Atlanta, the reason that this game is huge for them is that if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I believe, lose the game, that essentially is going to open up the door for them to, I think, take the division if they're able to do that. And also, too, they clearly need to win the game, but they are going to be in a situation to, be playoff bound. And so this is going to be a huge game for both teams going into this. This got flexed onto Sunday Night Football, so we should all get a chance to watch that out there. And it's going to be a special game between two dynamic rookie quarterbacks here. And so anyway, let me know in the comments, what is your key takeaway out of this, as far as our offense is concerned? Are we going to be able to take care of business in prime time against the Atlanta Falcons? Love to hear your thoughts. I'll be back for another show. This is Rico, and this is Washington Commanders Insider. Happy holidays, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.